Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's live Q&A session. Still waiting Chris Palmer coming along. I'm sure he's just been held up on a call or something. But let us know where you're from, who's there, any questions you've got, put them in the live chat if you can. And we will work our way through as many of those questions as we possibly can throughout this call. But yeah, let us know who's there, who's easywigging, what you're up to, and all of that good stuff. Just make sure I've got everything set up as it should be. I have. And hopefully Chris Palmer joins us, and he has just been held up on a call or something similar. Quiet start though. Who is there? My name is Joe. My hobbies include drawing, SEO, and basket weaving. You need to show us an example of the basket weaving. That's Joe being funny. The guys in my office just looked at each other like, what the fuck? With the basket weaving thing. Underwater in the root, or I'm the root. Underwater where? In the TV? Could be. I don't know. But is Chris underwater? I don't know. Tonya, good to see you. Vivek, or Vivek. Underwater basket weaving, right? I get it now. Underwater basket weaving. I'm a bit slow today. Chris is loading up that energy drink. He probably is. Someone put the bat signal to get Chris on the call. Can we see the guys in your office? Purple Aki, no, they don't like it when I turn the camera around on them. Don't ask me why, but they're camera shy people. But yeah, not fair to do that. Some people are not comfortable being in the camera. And Vivek, yes, go ahead and ask whatever questions you want relating to digital marketing. Fire them in the chat. And I am just going to message Chris and tell him to get his ass on here. It has been known Chris has piled in halfway through a call before. So I've no doubt he'll come at some point. Unless, touch wood, something's happened, which hopefully it hasn't. But yeah, fire on with your questions. And good to see Harry Minge. There. Chad. I'm not kidding. There's a guy. Go out to my YouTube right now. I'm getting these funny looks. Normally, the staff have gone when I do this at 5 p.m. But you go to my YouTube live just now and you'll see. There, they just look to me as if I'm talking absolute garbage. So, Harry Minch is there from Estonia. Dean Signori's there. He's at the recycling centre with his used energy drink tins, trying to sell it to get some money back on that. Why the hell not? Dean Signori and Harry Minch. Yeah, good combination. But yes, we're here to answer SEO questions. And if you have any, please do ask them in the chat, because Chris is not here, so we can't grill him, or he can't grill me. So I need you guys to be asking the questions. So fire ahead with your questions, folks. I just got a message from Search Console there. We're validating your page indexing issues. for one of the websites. Oh, horrible, horrible message. Vivek, what should you do? I haven't seen the question. I've got you asking, can you ask a question? And then I've got a message from Harry, Loud Egg, Dean, and then back to you. I cannot see a question in the chat. If you've tried to drop a link in the chat, it will not come through. So if you can ask the question minus any links, that would be perfect. Richest Domains, good to see you. Who wrote Eye of the Tiger SEO? No idea. Do enlighten me, Joe. A friend has an e-commerce store selling counterfeit fake stuff. Is this risky? You heard of people doing this? There are a lot of people selling counterfeit watches, for example, and they seem to get away with it for the long term. So, you know, if you were to Google, I don't know, replica Rolex watches or whatever you want to call them, then, you know, a lot of these websites do rank and do have traffic and have done so over a prolonged period of time. So, I mean, is it risky from a Google ranking perspective? It doesn't appear to be so. I'm sure it's risky in other ways in terms of posting out, you know, fake stuff or whatever and counterfeit stuff. But yeah, I don't want to see anything that's going to thingy me. But in terms of a ranking perspective, I don't see much happening in terms of those websites getting penalised in any way in terms of rankings. There's tons of them out there. Dean, has anyone noticed the effects from the latest update? So, Dean, anyone I've spoken to has only really seen upwards trends. That question was asked yesterday with Brad Maybury, and he's seen upward stuff. So, I've not seen too much in terms of either way. Things have been fairly stable for me. Nothing too wild that I'm seeing at the moment. But as I say, I only work in a small collection of websites. Probably an agency guy that you know, somebody that owns an agency working across a much wider range of websites and different niches is probably likely to be able to answer that better. But I don't know if anyone in the chat can give us any ideas on that. Clodballs. Varanchi, can you guide something on the topic for using AI for e-commerce? I mean, AI is AI. Whether you use it for e-commerce, whether you use it for a little blog, whatever, is up to you. Would I copy and paste AI straight from ChatGPT or something like that? No. I think there's a process. It's an assistant, and I think, you know, you can Quillbot it, paraphrase it, use Grammarly, and use human editors to pad out, whether that be your e-commerce category pages, and so on and so forth. So, can I guide you in the topic of using AI for e-commerce? It's the same thing. Using AI, I think you need to try and make that stuff unique. Use it as an assistant rather than the be-all and end-all. And someone like Mr. Clint Butler, who's in here, Schema, has entered the chat. All I will say is headers and entities on your website as well, and Schema and all that is part of that. So, you know, I think using AI is one small piece of a puzzle. There's more to making sure that e-commerce website ranks well, or any website for that matter. Whether that be Schema, whether that be human edits, whether that be link building, and all that kind of stuff. I think you've got to do it all and do it reasonably well. And using AI, can it be used as an assistant? The answer is yes. So there you go. Hopefully that answers it. Vivek, in Search Console, ranking improvement is up, but in Google, US targeted keywords are not in the top 100. using a VPN to check the keywords. Is that just after the update, Vivek, or has that always been the case? Clint has seen all ups post update. Vasil, what Chrome extensions do I use on a daily basis? Let me check. Grammarly, LastPass, Lempod, Insist, which helps with Instagram. I've got one, YouTube Summary with ChatGPT as a Chrome extension. And I also use a Chrome extension from a guy called Christoph Semper. AIPRM is the name of it, and that gives you prompts for ChatGPT, which I'm finding very useful. So that is another one that I use on a regular basis. But that's pretty much it. There's nothing else there. Just when I'm looking at my Chrome extensions that you're likely to find interesting. I do have one other called vidIQ, which helps YouTube videos, but that's not particularly an SEO related thing, more for YouTube. David Nikolic, good to see you, mate. Dean Signori, more leads than usual today from my newer sites is all I've noticed, as I just get on with it, to be honest, as I'm not naughty. I think, Dean, if you're just cracking out doing what you perceive to be reasonable work and it's working for you, you're just well. I don't really concern myself too much about the updates unless it does have an impact. But I think for most of us, it's just cracking on and trying to do the best job you possibly can. Going out there and doing the naughty stuff is always going to get caught up with. So there you go. Loud Egg. Harpa AI is a nice free extension from Mr. Joe Marichich. Loud Egg. The recent update which is going on. So there has been an update. I believe it was last Wednesday. It was released way too early to try and figure out what the crux of that is. Obviously, people will speculate online. No one truly knows what actually goes on with these updates. But when we have more time and more data, then people can make an informed decision as to whether that's been AI content that's been slapped or whatever. And I'm not suggesting that it has been AI content that's been slapped. But yeah, it's far too early to sit here and make those decisions. I think when an update comes out, we probably see a lot of people second guessing stuff and making it up as they go along, and then probably 3, 4, 5 weeks after the update and things start to settle down, then we can start to draw conclusions, having looked at data and how it all settles down. So you don't want to dive in making rash decisions and rash changes just now, Vivek. So, but the recent update was going on. I have no fucking clue. All I do is see the information the same as everyone else, but Google are not telling anyone, and no one has that secret information, unfortunately. Well, not that I know of anyway. So I'm not in the circle of trust, let's put it that way. But anyway, who would have thought Clint listens to trance music? What a dark horse. Why not? Trance music is the shit. Dean is feeling the effects of attack on local pages, where there is thousands of pages, though I'm going to combat that with 3 or 4 versions of the same content and split it between locations as a first. So you've got to adapt. Local pages, more Brad Maybury's thing than anyone's, but indexation is a problem just now for me with the handful of local things that I do work on. But Yeah, you've just got to adapt. Dean, do something. Live F1 fan, AI detecting AI, potentially. Who knows? Regarding PBNs, do you host these websites yourself? If not, do you use a VPN when you edit content in them? Should I be afraid Google will flag up my IP if I go into WP admin of these PBNs? So, one, yes, I like to host these websites myself. That does not mean that I'm hosting them all under my own name. Is the answer. You will use different accounts, different personas, and so on and so forth. When it comes to getting in and editing these websites, I do know people who will use something along the lines of Ghost Browser, which they will assign an IP address to every browser and they will log in and do their thing there. Are these people being paranoid? Is the question. Do you need to go to that depth of paranoia? Let's say that is obviously debatable. Do people give their VAs access to go in and update all of the plugins on a website, all from one IP address? They do. So I think for me as a guy who's had PBNs and currently still has PBNs, I try and be as cautious as I possibly can because I don't want that network to go down. But if the websites are all websites in their own right, they've all got their own rankings, they've all got their own templates, they've all got their own persona, they've all got their own content, they've all got their own backlink profile, and so on and so forth, and everything else that goes into it, do you need to worry about whether you log into 1 or 100 of them? I don't think you're being penalised for it, but hey, everyone's different. All-purpose work. Currently, there's a lot of fear that SEO will be dead as AI will replace everything out there. I don't think AI is anywhere close to being as good enough to replace. Will it impact content writers to some degree? Yes. Can we churn out content faster with less content writers? Yes. You still need that human element to guide the tools, do the human edits and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think SEO is going to be dead by any stretch of the imagination. SEO has been dying since I started in SEO. Link building was supposed to die in 2012 and whatever, and all of these years later it's still still up there. So I think SEO evolves and AIs come out, and I think it gives us a positive opportunity to do more work and make more money if it's used correctly, is the way I see it. Whether it replaces everything that we do, that's not the case as it stands. Will that be the case in 10 years? Maybe, maybe not. But the way I see it is the AI helps me do things faster, quicker, more effective. And like Clint says, only people who should be afraid are junk SEOs. I think if you understand what you're doing and utilizing these tools, you can turn it to your advantage and see it as a massive positive, for sure. So, do I believe I'll still be able to make money from SEO with AI? yeah, I will be. So, yeah, it's how you look at it and how you perceive it. But for me, as I say, it allows me to do more with less time. I want to automate as much as I can, and I'm pretty sure everyone else is in the same boat. So if we can make things happen faster with AI, happy days. So that's my views on it. And by AI, I mean ChatGPT and Bard. And Vivek, thank you very much for your donation. Much appreciated. Using Bard content feels like a Google trap. It could be a booby trap, Joe, very much so. But who knows? Who knows? Tonya, what would you want to know more about SEO? What would you want to know more about SEO? I'm not sure of the context of your question. If you could rephrase that, I will try my best to answer it. If you're asking me what would I like to know more about from an SEO perspective, there's lots of things. There's clever guys out there like Clint, who does a lot of schema stuff. It's not that I want to know more. I know enough about schema to know that it's important to me. I just don't have the fucking time to get down to it. So it's yeah. I don't know what else you mean though, or what you could potentially mean from that question. But what I would say is we're always learning and evolving. So yeah, I just try my best to learn and do as much as I can and see where it takes me. And if it makes me a few quid, then happy days. And thank you, Mr. Agrarian Boy. Much appreciated. Live F1 fan. There is a theory that if you run more than 3 or more YouTube channels connected to one AdSense and one IP, YouTube throttles your suggested recommended traffic. Potentially, that could be the case. I think, whether you're using AdSense on a website, a PBN, call it what you like, would you want to have all of that AdSense account across 100 websites, whatever? No, it's a massive footprint. So I think, segmenting that stuff out makes perfect sense, and what you're saying there from a YouTube perspective makes perfect sense. They don't want people taking the piss. Like, do you really need 3 or more YouTube channels per human being? Nah. But you can obviously have personas and different accounts and different businesses, so it can all still be done. Is it possible to rank good with 90% of backlinks being 2.0 backlinks? I'm trying to rank a site with as little a budget as possible. Vassal, there's websites out there that rank well with very little to no links, with some good on page. Are those the most competitive keywords? Probably not. Can you make money and can you rank a website with stuff with no budget? The answer is yes. Many people have done it. But if you want to go after high competitive keywords in competitive niches, then I'm very much a believer that the 2.0 backlinks are not going to be enough to rank you well for anything with good competition against good competition. So it can still be done. You can still get traffic, you can still earn money, and hopefully you can do that, get some money coming in, and then reinvest wisely into climbing the ladder, and getting better links and PR and everything else that goes into making your website progress. Loud Egg, Palmer probably didn't set his clock forward. So the problem is, Loud Egg, the time is still the same for Palmer. In the UK, we've not put our clocks forward until this weekend coming. So it's still 12 noon EST for Palmer. It's us in the UK that are behind in terms of moving the clock forward. So yeah, our clock goes forward this weekend. I think yours went forward the week before last. So there's always that 2 weeks where the times do get knocked out. But I think we try in a lot of cases to stick consistent to the American clock, because there's a lot of people coming from that area. So so there you go. Fred Hunter, few suggestions to optimize Google ad campaign in sports niche, targeting audience in various languages. Few suggestions to optimize Google ad campaign in sports targeting. I mean, I can't make suggestions on as such, because I can't see the ad campaign and how you optimize them. But when you do go into AdWords, they give you their suggestions in terms of what you can add and all that kind of stuff to try and get that Google quality score up. So I would go with their suggestions because obviously they can see the ad and give you better suggestions than maybe me, who can't see nothing about that ad and where the improvements lie. So I would always be looking to try and get that quality score up as much as possible. That quality score goes up, your cost per click goes down. So the data is in the AdWords set up there. So hopefully they can give you that, but I'm not sure if that answers your question effectively. But in terms of me being able to answer or give you suggestions on something in the sports niche, targeting an audience in various languages, all I can really say is segment all your campaigns down and make sure that the targeting is all appropriate. If you're targeting multiple different people, and again, try and get that quality score up. But I would segment everything out into different campaigns and stuff like that. Of course, that goes without saying. It's all very simple and basic stuff. But yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm not sure how much it does, but Mr. Agrarian Boy, can I use AI created content from a blog website? Is it effective for ranking? It depends on what you determine AI created content. Can you use AI to help you and assist you with your content? Again, the answer is yes. Would I copy and paste straight from ChatGPT into your blog? The answer is no. A bit of paraphrasing, a bit of Grammarly, a bit of human editing. Look at those header, subheader tags, and all that kind of stuff. All of that kind of stuff to optimize that article effectively has to be done. So I wouldn't solely be telling people, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine to use it as an assistant, but you have to do a little bit with it as well. Tweak it, use it effectively. So Tanya's saying Google is a complex system and there's lots of areas that we still don't know. What are the areas of SEO that I am most curious about? Where is fucking Palmer when you need him? What areas of SEO am I most curious about? No one knows exactly how Google's system works. And no one's going to get that information. SEO, I am 20 years in the game and have tried and tested and blown up and messed up in so many different areas of SEO. Is there an area that I am particularly curious about as such? AI. That's it. Scalability. It's a difficult question to ask or to answer. Sorry, what areas am I most curious about? I've tried most areas. I know what works for me, and I know how I make money. Now, I don't know everything about SEO and every single little granular detail about SEO, but then does anyone? So there's always going to be curiosity tests, blowing shit up and stuff like that. But we all know that Google is a complex system, but it's nowhere complex as some people may think. It's nowhere near as clever as some people may think. And that's just my opinion, of course. But yeah, there's always still going to be areas of curiosity. And, trying and testing is always going to still be something that I'm always looking to learn and watching other people and how they do things. And as I say, Clint in the chat there, schema, that piques my curiosity in terms of how much extra I can get if I implement schema. So there's lots of things I'm curious about, but it's whether I have time to implement them. That's the other side of the coin. So I try and implement as much as I can and make as much money as I can. But, am I doing it the best and most efficient way in the world? Probably not. Well, I know I'm not. So let's not kid ourselves. So there's always curiosity and things that I can be doing better, and more information on that stuff would always be useful. Vassal, when pumping my Web 2.0 backlinks with GSA Ranker, is there anything I should be cautious about? Not really. A GSA blast is a GSA blast. You're blasting Web 2.0s, nothing to be too cautious about. You're powering up some links. I mean, I don't think there's any real danger there. The big thing I would say about GSA is try and scrape your own lists, try and be unique, try and be different. Because just pumping GSA and using the same list that every other Tom, Dick, and Harry uses, I think you need to try and stand out from the crowd. So I would be utilizing the ability to import your own lists on there if you can as well, and try and get different inventory. Thank you for the info, no problem. I asked Bard how Google works. It wouldn't tell me. Aaron Semenov, good to see you, dude. I've still got this COVID cough, man. Doing my tits in. Schwitzy, my friend is a chiropractor that ranks number 1 in Google for his city. But his city is very tiny. His office is about 500 feet from a huge city. How do you rank his business for the nearby huge city? So obviously when proximity and everything comes into place, there's no be all and end all because proximity is a thing. Now, can you dominate something like that? People would tend to maybe have a number of different GMB listings that you might want to implement. How you go about getting multiple ones is entirely up to you. Do you take unverified ones? Do you use some sneaky way of getting listings approved in the said city? The answer is yes, but obviously you've got a lot of engagement signals and everything else, and CTR and everything comes into play. Google reviews come into play. There's a lot of different things that go into ranking a GMB. And, a lot of people do the CTR thing, the driving direction requests. If you look at local Falcon and you want to dominate a bigger part of the city, how do you get all of that stuff to pop? A lot of that comes down to engagement signals and directional requests and so on and so forth. So I think, it's too much to go into local SEO to answer a question, because you could talk about this stuff for 2 hours solid. But you could potentially have multiple listings in and try and drop one in that nearby city, of course, and then you're going to have to do all of the other kind of optimization techniques that are currently working, and use your local Falcon and stuff to determine how effective that is going. Fred, what is key for organic SEO for a new marketing agency? How many blogs per week and for how long? What will be high quality backlinks for them? Does forward links or similar work better? So Fred, in terms of links, does Forbes work? Yes. Does high profile PR, all of the kind of top tier things? Yes, I think they will all work. Look at what the competition have got. Have they got Forbes? Have they got Business Insider? Have they got Entrepreneur.com? Have they got LA Weekly? You'll probably find that some of the top players have all of that, and that comes down to money. Now, when you talk about blogs per week and for how long, how many keywords do you want to rank for? Now, let's use Neil Patel as an example. Go to his website and tell me how many blog posts he's got. what you'll find is he's probably got several thousand. So that could be 5 blog posts per week for the next X amount of years. Content is key. The more blog posts you have, the more opportunity you've got of ranking, the more traffic you're likely to get. So there's always going to be content required, especially from a marketing agency, whether that's you showing someone how to install WordPress on a hosting account. There will be X amount of people looking for that. So you can go into so much detail in terms of blog posts. Look at the leading guys, your Matt Diggity's, Matthew Woodward's, Neil Patel's. All of these guys have so much content out there. It's frightening. So I wouldn't like to sit here and say 5 a week, because you're so far behind. These guys that have been doing it for 10, 15 years, that it's going to be catch up, and it's how many can you do? It's going to equate to how many leads and stuff you can generate as a result of that. So, the more the merrier is the answer, Fred. David Nikolic, unfortunately, we don't take on guests onto these. I do podcasts and may consider doing a podcast with someone, but this particular show is normally a show designated for me and Chris, and I do the Tuesday one designated for me, Mike, and Brad. And I have done these for 3 years. We've tried guests. It doesn't have the same flow. I do podcasts and interview different people and obviously get their information out of them via a podcast format. But in terms of this particular session, we don't take guests. It just doesn't work that well, I think. But always happy to do a podcast if you've got stuff to talk about. I've done podcasts with smart guys like Clint talking about things. I've done hundreds of podcasts, so I've had many guests on. And if you've got something you want to share in terms of expertise, a tool, your experience, something of interest, then shoot me a message. And as I say, as long as there's value for the customers and it's not trying to sell them all guest posts or something. Not that I'm saying you do that, David, but it's got to be interesting for the visitors as well. And if there's a good story, something fun, something interesting, cool, a different angle of looking at things, something motivational, whatever, then more than happy to do it and share your experience and words of wisdom. See you later. Saying see you later to the other people in my office, by the way, in case you're thinking I'm leaving. But Tonya, how anchors of tier 2 can affect money pages. I just don't understand how it works inside of Google algorithms. Anchor text, I would always recommend. In terms of tier 2, and it's very important to highlight the tier 2 part here. Anchor text, direct to my money website, I try and mix up and as much as I possibly can. Tier 2, you can be slightly more aggressive. What do you care? You can be more aggressive. So obviously, if it's direct to my money website, I want to keep it natural looking. I want to keep it as varied as I possibly can. Tier 2, you can be a lot more aggressive. And that's it. But in terms of giving you the answer, in terms of how that works inside of Google's algorithm, I'm not the man to give that answer, unfortunately. But that's the way I do my anchor text. And I think a lot of people will probably be, everyone's got a different opinion. Everyone's got their own secret little sauce and all that kind of stuff. I think you've just got to play around and see what works for you. But certainly at tier 2 level, I can be more aggressive with it, as opposed to the anchors that point directly at my money website. Any useful tips for success in a GMB account? It's a bit of a vague question, Fred. Useful tips, all I can say is probably try and do things as legit as you possibly can. Any of the hacks, and all that kind of stuff. GMB is getting harder and harder. Trying to get stuff verified is harder and harder. You need to bend over backwards. People have spammed that stuff to death in terms of all the hacks, all the loopholes, all the funky stuff that goes on with GMBs. And Google are clamping down on it, and GMBs are getting suspended on the regular basis. Everyone who's in that game will tell you it's getting harder and harder. So tips for success in GMB: try and keep things looking natural. Try and not touch it too much if it's doing well. Don't just, I think a lot of people go, oh, reviews work really well in GMBs. And they start drip feeding on all these fake reviews, rammed full of keywords and stuff. And again, their GMB gets suspended. Why? Just leave it alone. If it's ranking well, fucking leave it alone. So, I think there's a lot of little nuances within GMBs that can cause you problems and stuff like that. And it's nowhere near as easy as it once was. I think everyone out there is pulling their hair out. In particular, those who've got GMBs that are maybe not as legit as they might want to be. So try and do it as clean and as legit as you possibly can, Fred. And that's all I can say. The tricks are drying up. Aaron, how often do you buy PR blasts for your personal sites? Probably a PR blast. I mean, I always try and do PR, Aaron. Every other couple of months or whatever. PR blasts as such, probably once every 6 months. I think with a lot of these PR blasts, and I think I asked Madge or Randy the question. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I asked them last week, how long does a lot of these links stick around for? And I think Madge said something between 6 to 9 months before a lot of them kind of fritter away, if you like. So I think it would be, every 6 months they just try and keep stuff there, So a little blast here and there, certainly not going to do any harm. They do, out with the kind of top tier ones that you get as part of your blast. I think a lot of the other ones, the syndicated stuff, falls away. And when it falls away, it's not offering value. So I want something that does. So probably every 6 months, Aaron. And the reason I'm explaining it that way is because a lot of it is syndicated content. And that does fall away, as I say. But I like to try and get, other PR articles every now and again and try and keep on top of it. I've not probably done so much in the last year or so. You get fed up with it, and I've got a lot of the stuff that's out there. But yeah, I'm always in the lookout for new inventory. But Victor, is the Wikipedia backlink useful even though it's no follow? Yes. I think it's obviously from a trusted source, and so on and so forth. So because something's no follow doesn't mean it doesn't pass any value, doesn't pass any traffic, and doesn't give off any signals. And I'm not saying this is a thing, right? But when we seen the Yandex leak, now I'm not saying this is the be all and end all or anything like that, but we look at the Yandex leaks that happened, and were they rewarding traffic that came through Wikipedia? Beware. It was in their algorithm or whatever. So I'm not saying it's in Google's by any stretch of the imagination, but Wikipedia is a trusted source. It would make perfect sense for Google to see that as a trusted source, and anything coming from that would be seen as trusted, and probably a good tick for your website. So hopefully that gets the point across. Clint says, Craig hates visitors. I hate people. Nah, I'm only kidding. I don't really. Does a 301 redirect to money sites still work? The answer, if done correctly, then yes. Can redirect still pass power over to your website? Then yes, it can. However, a lot of people will say, no, it doesn't. I never seen anything, because they never set up the website, let it get crawled and indexed, and then done the redirect. They just do a blanket redirect and then expect it to work. So the process has to be done properly first and foremost, including recreating all the old URLs, in particular, all the old URLs that had backlinks. So make sure it all gets indexed and all that kind of stuff. Do your thing and then redirect. Post per week, look at the competition sitemap. Tons of information hidden within, says Bob Wild. Good advice. Stephen Buchanan. Clint is here for sure. Or he was. Do you think domain level link relevance is a thing? Yes, I do. If I can get a good quality relevant link at domain level, then yes. Some people look at it at page level and say, I don't give a shit about domain level. I only care about page level. Some people talk about surrounding text level. So everyone's got a different opinion. But do I think a domain level link relevance, if you've got a arts and craft website and it's relevant to my niche, and you've got artsandcraft.com, is that relevant to me? Of course it is. So absolutely, I would take that all day long. And ZD Electrical, good to see you, mate. I think Chris may have ran out of energy drinks, maybe, or he may have been caught up in whatever he may have been caught up on. Something may have blown up or whatever. Or whatever may have happened. These things happen. Mikkel, can you go into details about PBNs on scale? What are you automating? What are you outsourcing? What kind of hosting? Adding content, sheets, fake personas, custom software, other systems and tips. I'll try and do this as quickly as I can, because it's, again, a big topic. Automating. I will automate a lot of the fake persona stuff. So the fake personas will all be added to Mass Planner, which then follows, unfollows, retweets, does all the stuff, gets the personas working. The site build, I would outsource, potentially someone like serpninja.io, and do web builds for $54. Outsource that. Hosting, I try and mix up my hosting. I don't use a PBN host personally. I just use a variety of different hosting accounts. Adding content, outsourced VAs, that type of thing. Obviously, they will follow a process, the content process, and some of that will be ChatGPT stuff as well, or ChatGPT assisted stuff. Fake personas is a big thing. Custom software. There are softwares that I use and other systems and tips. People will always say, Craig, you've got 200 websites on a PBN at scale. Let's say 200. How do you update all the plugins and all that kind of stuff? There's lots of different things, tools and everything that you can use, like Manage WP to do that stuff. But again, then you need an uptime monitoring tool, because plugins collide and blow the website up. Are you manually checking all of that kind of stuff? So in terms of systems, processes, and everything else, everyone's going to do it slightly different. But I think, using a tool like Manage WP and uptime monitor and stuff like that all has to happen. That's certainly the way that I do it. Do I use a Google Sheet? No. We actually have a black book. Now, that was because once I was told that Google can read your Google Sheet. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But when the seed's planted, then it's planted. So that is a little bit about it. But other systems and tips that I would recommend, tips: try and avoid leaving footprints, try and avoid using the same plugins, try and avoid using the same usernames, try and avoid using the same themes, try and make every website rank in its own right. You know, if one PBN doesn't make you money in terms of AdSense or whatever, doesn't pay for itself, then you're not doing it properly. Try and don't think about large scale. Don't have thousands of websites and only 200 of them actually do anything. Try and have a persona behind every website. So again, you're answering a lot of your own questions on there, but in terms of going in depth in it, I don't want to bore everyone else who's watching because it's a Q&A, but hopefully that gives you enough food for thought, mate. Eric McDonald, when creating backlinks from guest posts, does the site where the guest posts are coming from need to have high traffic and high page rank in order for the post to generate link juice? So when I'm looking for guest posts, do I want a guest post from a site that ranks well and has traffic? Yes, that is a quality metric I like. Now, if you look at a lot of marketplaces, they will show you the kind of DR and all that kind of stuff. They will then show you the traffic and whatnot. Now, does Google reward links from websites that actually have their own rankings and traffic over something that's a DR70 but doesn't rank for shit? I think it does. So for me, I would much rather take a DR40 that had traffic and all that kind of stuff and rankings than a DR70 that had no traffic. I would take the DR40 all day long. So hopefully that answers your question, Eric. But that's just a personal opinion of mine. By no means the right answer, but that's certainly how I view it. Harry, I have many money page which will not index. Is it safe to submit money page to Sinbite? Or does Sinbite use funny tricks which will send a bad footprint to Google? So no, Harry, I've always had good success with Sinbite. I don't think there is a negative bad footprint to send to Google. Do you need to go to Sinbite? I try and utilize social media and stuff on a website using a fake persona and stuff like that first and foremost. IFTTT rings, get that stuff set up rather than lumping it through Sinbite. Now, are Sinbite doing funny tricks that's going to get stuff indexed? Of course they are. That's the nature of what you're asking them to do. They want you to force index something. Are you likely to get slammed for that? I haven't been, but I think patience. A lot of people have got this obsession with being patient. Now, I don't send a lot of stuff to Sinbite. If I'm struggling with stuff, then yes, I will. But I try and be patient. Indexing is taking a little bit longer than usual. We all know that, and certainly, a lot of people have been complaining about indexing over the last 6 months to a year, whatever it is. So try and be patient. Why are SEOs in a constant state of preparation and tips for taking action? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Purple Aki. Why are SEOs in a constant state of preparation and tips for taking action? I'm making the assumption that taking action comes from within. For me, I'd rather not talk and just start taking action and throwing enough mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's just in my nature to be like that. But a lot of people do overcomplicate things in their head, don't take action, they get lazy, whatever. And yeah, I'm a lazy guy as well. But it's all about systems, processes. And if you've got a weak point or you are that lazy guy, get someone else to do it then. Pay someone else to do it if of course, the funds are there. But no matter what, action needs to be taken, whether it's you, whether it's a VA, whether it's, whatever. So for me, I'm always a guy that's quite aggressive in terms of attacking things that need to be done. And yeah, I make a lot of mistakes, but I wouldn't take that away because I think it's a good skill to have, just doing shit and hoping that hoping that some of it sticks is the job, Purple Aki. But I think you need to dilute. There's a lot of noise out there and stuff like that, and a lot of people and a lot of different opinion and stuff, and it can be quite hard to remain focused. So I try and, I don't really participate in Facebook groups and stuff, just because, again, you get caught up in looking and seeing and talking and all that stuff. So I try and avoid a lot of that stuff where I can, and have a smaller circle so that I'm not wasting too much time talking and actually trying to do some stuff. LinkedIn user says they hate people too, though. How to handle LCP issue? Can you let me know what you mean by LCP issue? Praveen, does domain rank anymore, or is it page rank? Page rank's a thing of the past. Is there an internal page rank score from Google? Who knows? DR, does it matter anymore? Again, it's a third-party metric. Do you become obsessed with it? No, but it gives you an indication as to whether your website's doing well or not, in terms of DR. But that stuff can be manipulated, inflated. Have I seen a DR20 beat a DR50? Yes, all day long. So, it's a third-party metric. I wouldn't over-obsess with it, is what I'm trying to say, Eric. Vasil, is it true that when they say 2 properly set up internal links are equal to 1 good backlink? I love your content. And 2 properly set up internal links. All I'll say here, Vasil, is internal linking I see very often done so poorly. Does internal linking move the needle? Yes, 100%. I have inherited websites or projects that have had little to no internal links. Now, the only change I've done in those websites is internal linking. Have I seen an uplift? Yes. Would it equate to 1 good backlink? That's a harder one to answer. But what I would say, do not underestimate the power of good internal linking. Is what I'd say. Make sure your on page and everything else that you can do is as solid as it can possibly be. You don't want to be overly reliant on backlinks. Try and do as much as you can on page, and then look to the backlink side of things. Aaron, am I drip feeding content onto my PBNs, or do you recommend just launching it all as soon as it's ready? So I drip feed. I know other guys that just launch it all, Aaron, but I think for me, again, it's all about keeping it looking natural. Is it natural to have content being added to a PBN? The answer is yes. So for me, I like to go down the natural looking thing and drip feeding it on and going back in and editing and adding to the content and all that kind of stuff. PBN is no different from a real website. Would you go back in and add other content to your own website, your real money website? The answer is yes, and the same goes for a PBN. I wouldn't just slap it all up and hope for the best and all that kind of stuff. Certainly put up what you can, drip feed more on, and continue to do that. And continue to make sure that PBN is a valuable asset for you. And I think too many people think of a PBN as just some buckshy website that they don't really care about. And I think keeping it going and trying to do what you can with it and treat it like a real website and a real business is a better way of doing things. And no problem, Eric. Thank you for the kind words. Our corporate pay per day, cost per lead, and pay per click, and cost per click, and cost per navigation. Not sure what that's in. Ideas. Mass Planner seems to be shut down. Mass Planner in itself was shut down 5 years ago in terms of being called Mass Planner. You need a route in. You need to know someone who has Mass Planner who can then suggest you to join it. The reason being is one of the big social media companies told them to take it down for what it does. They did relaunch under the name jarv.com. That also was taken down. So again, you just need to know someone who can. They're still there. They still work. You just need to know someone who can sort it out for you. And if you do need that, then DM me and I can make sure you get that link. No problem. Mr. Dirk, have I seen a particular impact with the current core update going on? I've not seen anything as such, Dirk. I can't see anything notable. Clint Butler said earlier that he's seen positive stuff going on. Brad Maybury, who shits out content, uses AI and all that, has seen positive stuff. So, yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, Dirk, I am probably not the best person to ask that question because I work with a much smaller portfolio of websites than maybe someone who runs a digital marketing agency. So they're able to see a much wider range of websites across the board. So I've not seen anything major up or down to be able to give a definitive answer on that. But obviously, I am always keen to hear what other people say and stuff like that. But because I'm not looking at hundreds or thousands of websites in some cases with some of these agencies, I'm not seeing data from a much wider data set. So hard to say too much, Dirk. I am okay for now. Touch wood. But yeah, we will see over the coming weeks as to what that could have been, because a lot of people are suggesting things and stuff. But I think for me, let it settle down, see what other people are saying, and then hopefully come to some conclusion as to what direction or what the problem was and what we should be avoiding. So too early to say. Last one, Nigel Griffiths. Is there a link building tool you would recommend? Basically to build tiered links to guest posts, niche edits, etc. My preferred tool of choice is SEO Autopilot. You've got other tools out there, GSA, Money Robot, and so on and so forth. But my preferred choice is SEO Autopilot. It's a newer tool. It's constantly updated and all that kind of stuff. So that would be the link building tool that's out there. You do have other ones that people use. RankerX as well is another one. But as I say, SEO Autopilot is my preferred tool of choice for me personally. So there you go. In Google Search Console, I have my domain twice. Is that because you've got the non-www version and the www version? Probably. But yeah, you only need it once though. But on that note, guys, I am going to love you and leave you, and we'll be back at the same time next week, hopefully with Mr. Chris Palmer. So thank you everyone for all the questions, and hopefully catch you next week. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.